Welcome to the launchpad of transformation, the Scrumcademy Podcast. I am Grand Scrum Master Scott, and this is the place where Scrum and Agile practitioners become masters of their destiny and creators of their wealth. We're thrilled to unveil our Mastery and Millionaires series, starting with the 5 ways to give yourself a 100% raise. During this 5-part series, I will reveal secret strategies that can supercharge your career and your bank account. Our premier, specialize, and certify. I will show you how expertise and certifications can open doors to prosperity. So whether you're a Scrum rookie or a seasoned pro, it's time to redefine your professional journey. It's time to transform the way you think about your Scrum career. It's time to revamp the way you navigate to give yourself a 100% raise. Our mission here at Scrumcademy is to help 10,000 minority Scrum Masters to play this game called Scrum at a super duper high level. The other part of our mission is to help 1,000 Scrum and Agile practitioners become millionaires. Scott, why do you call Scrum a game? Well, as I look at the Scrum Guide, the first page says, the Scrum Guide, the definitive guide to Scrum, the rule of the game. Here at Scrumcademy, we want to teach and train you to be a super duper legendary Scrum and Agile practitioner in whatever field you may be in. We know that Scrum was made for IT and software development, but Scrum has penetrated in all domains. So let's talk about our first way that you can give yourself a 100% raise. Specialize and certify. As I'm thinking about the person I'm talking to today, I'm thinking about you and I are at the kitchen table. You and I are having a cup of coffee. You and I are just having a conversation. So I'm going to give you some things you might have heard of. Some things might be right in plain sight, right at your fingertips, but you're not taking advantage of. So hopefully after this video, you will learn something new or be reminded of some things that are at your disposal that you're not capitalizing on. So specialize and certify with this episode. Well, let's first of all identify what do we mean when we talk about specialize. The best example I can give you is I go back to my MBA studies. Took away a lot of things in my MBA, but I had a paradigm shift in my last class. We had to write a term paper, and the professor asked the question, is it better to be a jack of all trades, or is it best to specialize? And of course, at that time, I wrote my paper from the standpoint of it's best to be a jack of all trades. Woo! I made a huge argument in terms of why it is best to be a jack of all trades, because up until that point, that was my thought process. It is best to be a jack of all trades. So this is the end of the class, my last assignment for my MBA degree. And of course, I'm looking for the grades, looking for how I did. Made a 100 on the essay. I got my grade, and my professor left a note to come and talk to me. So I went and talked to my professor, and he said, I love your argument about it's best to be a jack of all trades versus specializing. He said, let me ask you this. He said, you have some medical people in your family? Like, yeah. Does a general practitioner, he's talking about a doctor, that does a lot of different things. He said, does a general practitioner make more than an anesthesiologist? Dumb question, right? But it caused me to scratch my head. Woo! Yeah. My professors are part of the people in this world who have caused me to go bald, because when I'm in like deep thinking, I'm scratching my head. Or either my chin. But this particular day, I was scratching my head. I knew the answer, but that's one of them profound questions that really get you to think. Does a general practitioner make more than an anesthesiologist? The quick and easy answer that we can all see is definitely an anesthesiologist makes more than a general practitioner. Now that I framed that for you, let's go to Scrum. I have worked on all three roles. I'm thinking about the person that might be asking me the question, well, Scott, what if I don't know what I want to specialize in? Beautiful question. I didn't know in the beginning either. So I started out as a developer, writing code. That was fun. That was cool. Love creating stuff. I was ready for something different. So I said, let me try my hand at being the product owner. I love that. A large part of my background has been in project management. So that kind of felt like that in terms of I'm overseeing the project. Well, in this case, I got a little bit more ownership. I'm not just a manager. I am the product owner. In theory, it sounds cool. But I was with some organizations that I didn't own the product. So it really felt more like I was a project manager than a product owner. And I said, well, I think I want to do that anymore. So then I finally landed as the Scrum Master position. And I loved it. I loved it for a lot of reasons. I don't know about now, but when I came in the industry, the Scrum Master was the highest paid person on the team. So I'm making more than the developers. I'm making more than the product owner. Wow, this is dope. Yeah. But not only that, it was a very fulfilling job because most of my background has been a change agent. Lean Six Sigma when I was in General Motors back in the 90s when they was the #1 company in the world. So I learned about Lean and Six Sigma. We practiced that in manufacturing. I love training and developing people and watch them go from here, where they may be when I first meet, and have some type of contribution to that when I leave, that they are here. They have grown as a result of my leadership. Yes, servant leadership. So that has mostly been my superpower. Scrum Master is a change agent. That was very natural to what my skill set has been most of my career. I just absolutely love it for all of those reasons. The money and the fulfillment of just helping a team to go from where they are when I join a team from by the time I leave. I'm thinking about Nanny McPhee at this particular point. If you ever watched the movie Nanny McPhee, now I'm at the end of the movie Nanny McPhee. Yeah, well, that's a beautiful thing. To transform a dysfunctional family, a dysfunctional team into a high-performing team, to me, that's nothing greater than to be a part of that transformation. If you are that person asking yourself, what should I specialize in? Try them all. See what works for you. Maybe you have the skill set to be a developer, try it. If you have the skill set to be a product owner, try it. And that's pretty much the only way you're really going to know. Make sure you can take advice to friends and family members who may be in those positions as well. You're ultimately not going to know until you actually get in that role yourself. I mean, there's a whole lot of factors in that as well. Company, the culture, values, and a whole lot of other things. I would start with, what are your personal values? Then look at the different roles. Product owner. Does your particular dominant traits, is it aligned more with the product owner? Is it aligned more with the developers, or is it aligned more with the Scrum Master? Let that be your guide in the beginning. But if you're still not sure, just try to roll and see if you like it. Like I did. Maybe you get that opportunity. So that is one way to specialize. So after I talked to my professor, maybe 5 minutes, you ever had those conversations with somebody? They just say something so profound, you just walk away from the conversation just in a state of, it looks like the other people, like you might be lost, puts you in deep thought. Lost? Wow. Paradigm shift. Yeah, exactly. So that conversation didn't last long. At that particular moment, I said, I am going to specialize. Here's some ideas in terms of what you can specialize in. Now, you're in Scrum and Agile, so you have the opportunity to specialize in an awful lot of things that you may not be aware of. First of all, you got to know the Scrum Guide, how to execute that. You got to know some Agile stuff up underneath the umbrella, like Lean, test-driven development, behavior-driven development. I'll do another episode on the tool, but for now, just think about all these different things and ask yourself, how can I craft a niche for myself? Me, a Scrum Master. Once you find your superpower, ain't nothing else for you to do. This is it. Whether the position is eliminated or not, the skill set that we have as Scrum Masters is applicable to any team, any company, anywhere. If you have a team building something, and I don't know of a company or organization that don't have teams working on something, that skill set is very applicable to any environment, whether you call it a Scrum Master or not. Okay. Now, let me give you some things that you might not have thought about. As a Scrum Master, we use a platform in most cases called Jira. I have some friends who are Jira admins, administrators. So they spent an awful lot of time in learning that software to the point that when a company starts with the Atlassian Jira software, they are part of the team that goes and train and teach everybody how to use the Atlassian Jira software. That's cool. So they spent the time to learn the software, and now they acted as a consultant. Oh, that's dope. Now, friends of mine who I know like that, here's their work schedule. They typically work 3 to 6 months at a time because you may have a company starting up with Jira. Of course, then when they get the team ramped up, they often go into another company. They like the flexibility. They like the options to go from place to place, do different things. Yeah, the software is the same. It's not only applicable for a startup. Now, some companies have Jira admins, full-time direct hire for the company. That could be you. You don't necessarily want all of the just straight up development aspect or learning Python, Bitbucket, Kubernetes, stand on top of that. You could, let's say, be a specialized developer and say, I'm just going to learn Atlassian Jira and teach people how to use that and give them accesses and things of that nature. I would put that in a developer category. And thinking about the 3 accountabilities of a Scrum team, product owner, developers, Scrum Master, I would put that in the developer category. So something for you to think about. Do you have to be super duper technical to know that? No, you just like any other software that you've learned how to use. Your iPhone, whatever it is, you learned how to use it. And can you teach other people how to use it? Yes. You necessarily have to go to school for that. Right. Make sure you're with it. The schedules of my friends who work like that, they typically work 3 to 6 months at a time. They go do an assignment, take off for 6 months. They make a ton of money doing stuff like that. So they typically doing startups, somebody using Atlassian Jira for the first time. Or what's hot now is a lot of companies is going to enterprise level. So that would be your Jira Align. Company already has Jira, but they don't have the enterprise version of it. So my friends at Jira admins and people who teach on Jira, they're going to go into the organization, stay however long it takes, however the contract is. So we'll say they work from 3 to 6 months to train everybody in the organization and get them ramped up, get them upgraded to the Jira Align version. That's something that you can do. I'm thinking about DevOps is pretty popular nowadays. If you know DevOps to the point that you can teach it, maybe the DevOps specialist is part of the DevOps transformation team, going to even higher than that. Now we have DevSecOps. Well, do you know that? Can you teach that? Maybe that's an option for you. There's a lot of things out here you can do, but you just need to figure out, are you going to specialize or are you just going to keep general? Because that's an awful lot of agile stuff out here. And if you keep going wide and not going deep in anything, do you really know it? Do you know how to execute it? I specialize, aka Grand Scrum Masters. Right? This is what I'm doing for the rest of my working career. Whether the term Scrum Master is here or not, the skill set will always be here and will always be needed. Other specialties that you might not have thought about. I have some friends that all they do is work remote places on exotic beaches. They only look for remote work. That's me. My definition of done is only remote work. Because I like the freedom and the flexibility to go wherever I want to go. I like to Scrum and travel. Well, I started out Scrum and traveling. Now I travel at Scrum. I go to my destination, typically on Friday or Saturday, set up, make sure I got internet, make sure everything is good. Then I log on Monday morning, whatever time zone I'm in, versus compared to the time zone I'm supposed to be in. So I got to factor in things like that. So that is an option for you. As some of our friends who are single, no kids, or their kids are grown and gone, right? They go into places like Hawaii, exotic beaches and places across the world as a remote Scrum Master. Take a contract for 3 to 6 months. You're going to make a whole lot more money, especially if you're going to be an expat. There's so many different ways that you can make money and enjoy life while you're doing it. Oh, so beautiful. So those are some different things in terms of specialization. Now let's talk about Certify. Now there's a lot of certifications out there. I want you to begin to put on your entrepreneur hat when it comes to certification. When I get a certification, I'm thinking like a business person. What's the return on investment of me getting this certification? What is the potential for me to get my money back, whatever the certification costs? Worry about that. But I am concerned about how long is it going to take me to recoup my money from this? I'm also thinking about the person right now who may be asking, start tour again and talk to a bunch of college students. So I know I'm going to get this question, so I'm going to go ahead and answer it for you. Scott, I have my associate's degree. Scott, I don't have any degree. Should I go back to school and get my degree? I don't know. When I was coming along years ago, when I was in undergrad school, then yes, going to college was pretty much the path that I could see for me to make the money I want to make. And you have to make that decision for yourself. But as you can see now, education is online. Education is really more personalized. Do you need a degree? It depends on what sector you're going in. Let's say, for example, if you're trying to get in work for the U.S. government, whatever the U.S. government minimum requirements are, you're going to have to meet those. They are non-negotiable if you're for the government in the United States. So if the government says you need a bachelor's degree and that's where you want to be, then yeah, you're going to have a bachelor's degree. There's no way around that in the federal government sector. However, on the private side, I'm thinking about technology. In tech, companies care that you know how to do the job. They ain't concerned about your degree. It looks good, and that says that you can learn. But if you are a developer writing code, more importantly is, can you write code? Whether you self-taught or you went to some education. Again, that's totally up to you and really the path that you're trying to take, and keeping those things in mind. What else can I share with you on that? Here's the thing I'm thinking about on education. What I don't want to happen is I'm talking to you as I talk to my children. I get ready to have this conversation with my son. He's in high school. He has options right now to go to the top schools, and I'm sure he's going to ask me, Dad, should I go to college? I really don't have an answer for that yet. Right now, I'm thinking I'm going to answer that question like I'm answering it right now. What is it you're trying to do? You like programming? Okay. Do you think you need to come and take my class at Wilmington University? Do you think you need for me to teach you computer science in a classroom? Or could you learn that on your own? Totally up to you. What I don't want to happen is this. I remember in 2005, I decided to go back and get my MBA, Master's of Business. Okay, watch this. When I finished my degree in 2007, financial crisis happened in 2008. So now you got a lot of MBAs that are on the market, kind of like you do right now with Scrum Masters. I hear the word on the street that there's not many Scrum Master jobs out there. There's less than the pandemic, but I don't see no problem with people getting jobs if they got the skill sets to get the job. There are more Scrum Masters out in the market now, which you need to be thinking strategically. Okay, what do I need to put together in my skill set, my tool set, to make me stand out a little bit more than all these Scrum Masters who are now, let's say, maybe not working because during the pandemic, if you had a certification, you just come and get this money. Not like that now. And I saw that during the time I went to school for my MBA, I saw that there was a huge need for masters in business administration with a specialty in business technology. So that's what I specialized in. By the time I graduated, my degree was worthless. So watch this. I spent $80,000. I did the math before I went to school. It was only projected that I was going to get maybe a $10,000 increase. Was that good math? In hindsight, no. It sounded okay then, but I think differently today than I did back then. Check this out. Put that to you in another way. So let me get this straight. Me, myself, and I talking to myself. So let me get this straight. I wish Isaac, Scott, and Adams was talking to me like this before I got my MBA. I might not have gotten it. So watch this. So Isaac, yes, Scott, you telling me that you're going to spend $80,000 for a degree and potentially get a $10,000 increase. Yeah, that's my plan. What? So I know people are going to ask me that question, then that's just some things to think about. It depends upon the sector. If you're trying to be a doctor, you definitely got to go to school. If you're trying to be a lawyer, you definitely got to go to school for that. Some domains, that is the process as of today. That changed? We don't know yet, but things are changing. So that's something to think about in terms of that particular question, in terms of, should I go get my associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, doctoral degree? Really count the cost of that and ask yourself, okay, the return on investment. Is it going to be what you want? Is there something else that you could direct your time in? Opportunity cost. What are you giving up over here to do this over here? Because we all have limited time, and you really have to be thinking about that. And that's one of the concepts I learned in MBA school, opportunity cost. What you're doing now, is that helping you to get to where you want to be in the future, or is that hurting you? So if you're spending, let's say, 10 years in school and you're making just less than minimum wage, or just enough to break through, and your debt is increasing, assuming that you're getting loans, that's a tough decision. Some things to think about there. So specialize and certify. I like Scrum.org, not because I'm a professional Scrum trainer with them, but I like them because you can either come to my class and I can teach you Scrum. They really give you a transformative experience, because not only when you come to my class, you learn about Scrum, but you also get to tap into my experiences so that you could make less mistakes in your journey. It will expedite your journey towards mastery and effectiveness. However, you don't have to take a class at Scrum.org, and that's why I like Scrum.org. I actually did self-study. The only reason I took a class was I had to, to teach the class. I had to take the class. So other than that, I did self-study because I was very disciplined. I went that track to self-study. They got everything laid out for you. You can just go through it. Whenever you feel you're ready, just go make it happen. Go take the exam. That is one way to do it. In hindsight, would I do that again? I would, but I would do self-study and go to class, because when I went to class, it was like, wow, I could have expedited my learning had I gone to class and learned from somebody who was actually doing this versus doing self-study and talking to a whole bunch of people, getting a whole bunch of stuff in my brain and don't know what to do, how to do, when to do, because I'm getting like information overload, analysis paralysis. Yes, exactly. So that's something to think about. There's a lot of certifications out there. Well, Scott, I already know. I hear your question. Well, Scott, what certification should I get? Here's how I decided on that. Before you go get a certification, look at the job description, because the job description will tell you in real time, what are they looking for? We're looking for PSM certification, for this certification, for that certification. And that's how I decided on the certifications I got back when I was getting into the game years ago. I looked at the job description. That's a real-time indicator of what are they looking for now. I don't know about you. I don't want a certification just to have. I want that certification to make me money. That's why I'm getting the certification. Yeah, it's mastery, but more importantly, I'm mastering this so that, guess what? I can add more money into my bank account. Exactly. I have a lot of certifications on my portfolio that are dead weight. I spent an awful lot of time. And here's what you got to think about too. You have to recertify for some of these things at some point. You got to factor that into the equation too. Another thing I like about Scrum.org is once you're certified, you're always certified. There's no renewal fee. There's nothing else you have to spend. And once you're certified, you're always certified. Yes, we believe in lifelong learning. It's a journey, but it's nothing you need to report to Scrum.org. I love that. It's another reason why I joined the organization. Now, here's another thing that you might not have thought about. When I was a full-time direct hire employee with the benefits and all of that, organizations have a budget, a limit for giving you money to, let's say, go back to school to work on your bachelor's, master's degree or whatever. And that number is anywhere from, I've seen on the low 5,000, I've seen on the high 10, 15,000. You're going to be in school for 5, 8 years at that rate, unless you're spending money out of your own pocket. But if you're relying on what the company contribution is to pay for your education, it's going to be quite a few years. Now watch this. Most people don't know this. Most companies have an unlimited budget for certifications, but yet they have a limited budget on, let's say, your degrees. Unlimited on certification, limited on degrees. When I found that out, when I was at General Motors, I said, y'all going to give me $10,000 a year to go back to school and upgrade and for continuous education. Yeah. But you telling me I have an unlimited budget for certification. Yeah, long as they just have to be relevant to your job. Great. Oh, I can plead the case to make sure they're relevant to my job. Oh, yeah. So that's why, one of the reasons I went to Villanova University to get my Lean Six Sigma Black Belt, because I put that to the test. I went to HR, asking questions, but hey, tell me about what kind of thing. I'm asking questions. I ask a lot of questions. Do you ask questions? Do you know what kind of benefits and things that are offered to you in your department? I promise you they have an awful lot of money that you probably don't even know about. And here's the dark side of that. Oftentimes you have managers of these departments don't tell all the employees. They have like their favorites and stuff. And sometimes people don't know about that for that reason. That's why I'm telling you this, so that you can open your mouth and go ask. If you ask, they will tell you. If you don't ask, you may or may not be told about those opportunities that are at your disposal right there available for everybody. So something for you to think about there as well. So I put that to the test. So I wanted to get my Lean Six Sigma black belt. And I went to Villanova University to do that. Why? Because at the time, Villanova University was the #1 certifying body in that particular area. If it was Harvard, I would have went to Harvard. If it was MIT, I would have went to MIT. Are y'all tracking? Now that certification costs the company about $20,000. One certification costs $20,000 initially. I still got to recertify, like my PMP and all of that. So one certification cost me $20,000 to go through that process. But yet, there's a $5,000 to $10,000 cap on getting a degree. And when I learned that later, I had to do the work, study for it, and go through the process and take the class, the books and all of that. Yeah, I had to do my part. But for the most part, the certifications I got outside of Agile was paid for by a company that I was direct hire with at the time. Something for you to think about there. Tap into that. You're more likely to get an unlimited budget for certifications than you are for education that leads to a degree, so that you're aware of that. Tap into those resources, and I think y'all will be fine. This is the longest track of all the ones I'm going to talk about. This is familiar to you. Hopefully I've given you some things to think about and some other things that you probably didn't know about, but this is the longest way to give yourself a raise. Effective. Think of this as like planting the seed. You planting the seed this year. If you're full-time direct hire, next year when you get to do your evaluation, you can say, hey, I got my Six Sigma black. I got this over the last year. I got that. You killing them on their certification budget. Yeah. Depending upon how long you're there with the company, they pay for the renewal fee as well. But you got to factor that into your budget that when you leave that organization, you're going to have to pay to recertify and any other fees associated with that. So when you're thinking about certification, you should be thinking about the whole picture. Is there any recertification fee? Yes. Am I okay with that? Yes. All these things you should be thinking about in terms of what is the return on investment of me getting the certification. And that's a wrap for our first episode of the 5 ways to give yourself a 100% raise series. Today, we've laid the foundation with Specialize and Certify, and I can see the ideas already sparkling in your mind. This is the first stepping stone in giving yourself the raise that you truly deserve. Remember, each step you take with us on this series bring you closer to the mastery and millionaire mindset we're cultivating here at Scrumcademy. If you got extreme value out of this episode, please share with someone that you want to help. I'm sure there's other people who have these same questions that you just heard answers to. So do them a favor and share this information with them. It doesn't cost you anything. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay in the real-time know. Join us the next time as we explore the second way to enhance your Scrum career and your income. I am Grand Scrum Master Scott, encouraging you to keep those ideas turning and to take the next decisive step towards your 100% raise. Until then, keep scaling your agile walls and reaching for the stars. And don't forget, the journey to 1,000 sprints begin with one actionable strategy, and you've just taken it. Congratulations. Let's continue this journey together, and I'll see you in the next enlightening episode. As always, be agile, do Scrum, and be super duper legendary in all your endeavors.